You're listening to East Meets West. We're talking travel right now, and it's a big one, isn't it? You know, while it's the doomy, gloomy months, I suppose, we're thinking, well, where should we get away for the more summery, more festive areas of the world, and holiday itself? If we just say going on holiday, we've all got an answer what we've got planned for 2017. But what you don't realise, there's a bit of a science to it, and it's being calculated where we're all headed on the whole. And China, India, Iceland and Cuba are being tipped as the holiday hotspots. Now, I talked to this guy a few months back, and he told me even back then that these were the hotspots, and it's really going that way. But why? Why are we headed to those places? So Paul Nelson from World Travel Market. Paul, good morning.
Morning.
Paul, go on then. If I throw them one by one, why China? What's our interest with there?
Well, it's a market where we're seeing the routes between the UK, the airline routes between the UK and China opening up. We're seeing increasingly, there's a new trend also called bi-leisure, so kind of business and leisure. So you're seeing the routes that were originally opening up from a business perspective, so about increasing trade between the UK and China and vice versa. And now we're seeing that expanded to the leisure perspective. So we're able to take advantage of these new routes and to go over there and to experience the culture, of course, which is, completely different to our culture, and of course, we all know about the Great Wall of China and all of the other tourist attractions, and now we get the opportunity to go and visit.
If you'd have asked me, do I do that bi-leisure thing, I would have said no, but I've just done it. In October, I went to China and did it. So people are going and kind of forcing a holiday into a business trip as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's a trend that you're seeing a lot. So people that would normally go somewhere for business, and you think, well, I may as well tack on a couple of extra days or a week, and while I'm over there, particularly you're going as far as China, it makes sense for you to enjoy it and have a holiday as well. But also, just because of the fact that these routes are opening up from a business perspective, it therefore means that even the holiday maker who's not going there from a business perspective is able to take advantage of the extra capacity to China and India as an example.
Okay, India, what's the fascination at the moment there?
Well, very similar to China, really. So from a business perspective, the airline routes are opening up. So we're able to take advantage of that. Again, that's really benefiting from the bi-leisure trend. But at the same time, of course, there's much closer historical ties between the UK and India. So they're very much looking to take advantage of that. We've got lots of people over in the UK from Indian descent, and there's, because of the closeness of it, being a previous colony, etc. The closeness and the links between the two countries are really close. So there's that interest there as well.
Now, they've both got huge, massive history, China and India as well. But these two others are rather interesting. They're kind of new to this one. Iceland and Cuba. Walk us through both of them, Paul.
Well, Iceland is a really strange one because, it's actually quite expensive once you're over in Iceland, and of course even more expensive now due to Brexit and the pound dropping. But the interest in Iceland has increased quite phenomenally since they showed us how to play football last summer.
Yeah, and they did.
So that's where that's come from. It's interesting that Iceland have said that the increase in the UK since then, it's kind of put them on the map. It's really interesting how those type of international events are able to really put countries on the map, and how they're able to use them within their marketing to really generate the interest that extra exposure gives them, and Iceland is a perfect example of that, and is really going to benefit from it's part-timers showing our overpaid stars how it's done.
Yeah, and it's always the underdog, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, we love an underdog.
Yeah,
so that's definitely helped them. And then Cuba, again, is similar from an airline route perspective. You've got the general context from a European and North African country perspective that, unfortunately, due to what's happened in places like Egypt and Tunisia and Turkey, there's a lot of capacity there which has had to be moved out of those countries, which is really unfortunate for them, but has meant that countries such as Spain and Portugal, etc., will benefit last year and will benefit this year. And then, of course, the tour operators said, okay, well, what can I do with this capacity? Where can I put it? And they've looked at places like China and India and Cuba in particular, and they're able to now send that capacity a little bit more further afield. And the other side is also that the aircraft are so much more comfortable now. They've invested a lot of money in, if you like, long haul aircraft. So the experience on the aircraft to fly, say, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours isn't like it was 5-10 years ago. You can go in castle class if you like, but it's not that experience. It's much more comfortable, it's much more enjoyable. So you can actually, it's cost effective as well as the experience is valuable to fly long haul for a summer, as opposed to just thinking about those short European destinations.
Okay, Paul, before I let you go, now, as the head of World Travel Market, you see trends come and go, but, you can spend all you want, right, for your tourism board. You can't stop what's going to be cool next year, can you? You can't really guess sometimes, like fashion trends, for instance. You don't know what's going to be cool in 2 or 3 years, or do you? Or are you able to tell?
You can to a degree, to be honest. The industry puts a lot of research in to work out, where people want to go. So, as I guess an example in the sense of just the type of holiday that people will go on. So, post the recession, we saw much more all-inclusive holidays. So the industry was able to work at, with suppliers who were prepared to do those all-inclusive holidays, because obviously, as holiday makers, we were concerned about how much we were spending and where we were spending it. So that helped us to budget. So that then made it a lot easier for us to then, be prepared to part with our money, knowing that we wasn't going to spend a load more money in resort, or we were able to certainly control the amount of money that we spent in resort. So you can do it. You can look at what's going on in the world. So to say that, the buy leisure trend with China and India is an example of that. So you're able to put more capacity on. Cuba again, as a country which is opening up for the first time, and people want to get in there now before it becomes a little bit too westernized. So you get to experience a kind of authentic Cuban experience. So you can do. There will always be a set of people, who want to kind of have that Spain and that Portugal experience. But then there's also the trends as to people wanting to go further afield and wanting to find that next destination. There'll always be curveballs, like say in Iceland, but on the whole, I think the industry is able to predict it to a degree.
Now all you have to do is figure out how to make me have an unlimited cash amount.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
Hey, now, head of World Travel Market, Paul Nelson, thanks so much for your time today.
No worries. Thank you very much.